Hey everyone, this is Alex for PolymomoTea, and I did it as you guys all requested. I made the Among Us Pets video with polymer clay and resin, so we'll get started. And a shameless insert, Alex and PolymomoTea released a book, and I have instructions on how to make my silicone molds here. So if you want to check it out, please check out my book. I'll be adding links in the description box below. So first we're going to start out with the Crewmate. So we're going to take some scrap clay and roll it into our potato shape. And then we're going to roll out a cylinder for the legs. And this is exactly the same as the previous Among Us videos. And we want to cut the legs at a slant and add those to the bottom of our body. And then for the little backpack, we're going to pinch out a square shape, cut out the end. And we're going to add that to the back of our Crewmate and let that bake. And once baked, we're going to make a silicone mold. And in our silicone mold, we're just going to make a little cut between the legs so we can actually extract the template out of the mold. So for our resin mixture, I'm pouring UV resin into a silicone cup and I'm adding white pigments to it and mixing it together, and we're going to pour that into the silicone mold and then let that cure under the UV light. Then for the clay pieces, we're going to take some light blue clay and we're going to pinch it into an oval shape, and then we're going to cut off the end. And we're going to add that oval onto our clay template that's already been baked. And then we're going to roll out some black clay into a thin snake and wrap the display case all the way around. Cut off the excess and then blend the two ends together. And then we're just going to bake that in the oven according to instructions. And then once baked, we're going to slowly take off our little helmet thing off the clay template. We're going to add some super glue to the back. And then we're going to glue it onto our resin piece. So here we have the Crewmate character. And just for some extra shine, I'm just going to give it a layer of glaze. And here is the finished Crewmate mini pet. Next we'll make the Cyclops alien thing. So I'm going to take some clay and roll it into kind of a cylinder shape. And on the end, I'm going to pinch out 4 little triangles. And I'm just going to soften them up and kind of blend it together. Kind of looks like an octopus with 4 tentacles, kind of 4 really stubby tentacles. And then we want to bake that and make a silicone mold. Then for the resin body, I'm adding some green pigment and then pouring that into the mold to cure. For the clay details, I'm going to take a ball of white clay and I'm going to cut it in half. And we're going to place that eyeball onto the clay template and press that against it to make sure it sticks. And then in the middle, we're going to place a little black dot for the pupil. And then for the little antenna, we're going to take a black snake of clay and then curl it slightly and add a little dot at the end. And bake that separately. Once baked, we're going to take the eyeball off the template. And we're going to glue on the details onto our resin body. So the eyeball in the front and the little antenna thing on top. And then give it a layer of glaze. And here is the finished product of our little Cyclops alien. So next we're going to make the 2 stick figure. So I'm just going to take a ball of clay and bake that. And we're going to make 2 of them and make silicone molds. And these will be for the heads. And we're going to fill the silicone mold with just clear UV resin and let that cure. Now for the body, we'll basically be using black clay, so we're going to roll out a snake of clay and roll it out pretty thin. So we're just going to take the clay and bend them into a little stick person. So give it some legs, some arms, and then one arm is kind of like bent to touch its face, so we're just gonna do that. And I just cut off the neck a little bit. And then it has some eyebrows, so we curled up some little snakes of clay for the eyebrows. So for the lady stick person, we're gonna take some red clay and flatten out an oval shape. And we're gonna wrap that around one of our clay heads. And then taking another piece of the red clay, we're gonna pinch it into a giant leaf almost. And that's gonna be on top. And then I just blended the seams together, which I didn't show in the clip. And then we wanna bake that in the oven as well. Once baked, we're gonna glue on the body onto our head and add on the little eyebrows. And then give it a nice glaze, and then we'll have our little stick man. For the hair, we're gonna slowly just scoop out the hair from the clay template. And if you add cornstarch, it'll come off easier. And we're just gonna glue on the head and the body and the eyebrows on top of the hair. And then once that's complete, we'll give it another layer of glaze, and we have our finished stick lady. Next, we have one of the easier designs, the UFO. So for the template, we're just going to take a ball of clay and cut it in half. And we'll bake that according to instructions and make a silicone mold out of that. And into the mold, we'll be pouring in clear resin once again and letting that cure. For the saucer part of the UFO, we're going to take some gray clay and pinch it into kind of like a Mentos, like the little candy shape. And we're going to place it on the template and pinch off the ends so it has that saucer kind of lemony shape to it. And then we're going to add some green dots, some red dots, and some purple dots. After it's baked, we're going to just cut off the template from the clay saucer, and we'll replace the clay part with the resin counterpart, glue that on, and give it a nice glaze. Next, we have this spider crab looking robot with 4 legs. So we're gonna pinch some clay into a little flattened pancake with rounded ends. And we're just gonna cut out a little triangle on the bottom. And then using a little blending tool, we're gonna just soften the ends and make a W shape on the other side of the triangles. So that'll be the body. And then we'll make a silicone mold out of that. Then for the legs, we're just going to take some clay and roll it into a teardrop shape. Make 4 of them and make a mold out of it as well. So for the resin mixture, it's kind of like a light-ish, darkish brown. So I added some brown and black pigments together to make the mixture. And I poured them into the molds and let that cure. And this bed has no clay parts to it, so all we do is glue on the legs and give it a layer of glaze, and we have our spider robot crab thing. So this is one of the more intricate ones. We're gonna make the robot. So I'm gonna take some clay and pinch it into a cube for the body. Then for the head part, we're gonna flatten the clay into a fat pancake shape. And we're gonna pinch 3 sides into a flat end. So it's kind of like square on 3 ends. And then we're gonna round off the 4th end. And here we have our pieces, and we want to make a mold out of those as well. And we're going to use the same brown mixture that we did for the spider crab robot, and we're going to pour that into the mold. And as we wait for that to cure, we're going to make the face. So I'm taking some gray clay and I'm cutting out a flattened rectangle. And I'm going to place that against the little part on our clay template. And I'm going to add 2 little light blue dots for the eyes. For the wheels, it kind of has this like tan rollers underneath it. So we're gonna take some tan clay, roll it into a cylinder, and cut out 2 little cylinders. And we're gonna flatten out some black clay, so we're gonna make like the conveyor belt kind of thing. So we're gonna cut out a thin rectangle. We'll place the little rollers that we made onto the strip of black clay and wrap it around. And it's rounded on one end and just kind of like trapezoidy on the other. So we'll just cut off one end and pinch it. Then we're just gonna cut off a piece of black clay for the neck. That little piece is the neck. And we're gonna make the little antenna, so it's a little strip of black clay with a dot on top. And here are all the robot pieces all baked. So we want to carefully take off the face from the clay template and glue that onto our resin piece. Next we're gonna add the antenna onto the top of the head, but I pushed it a little bit further back after this clip. And we're gonna add the little cube body onto our wheels, the little neck on top, and then we're gonna glue on our head at a slight slant and add a layer of glaze for our robot as well. And here is the finished product. To make the legged Fluffball pet, we're going to take a ball of clay and wrap it around with littler balls of clay and fill it until it's like a half dome shape, and we'll make a mold out of that. I mix some orange resin mixture and I pour that mixture into our mold and let that cure under the UV lamp. Then I'm taking some purple clay, I guess this is more magenta, and I'm rolling it into a cylinder and cutting out 3 equal parts, and these will be the legs. Then I'm just gonna round off one end and fold it into an L shape and place the 3 legs together. And I didn't show it in this clip, but I cut off the end so it's flat so we can attach it to our body later. Then for the little antenna, I'm going to take a snake of black clay, kind of fold it slightly, and add a little ball to the end. And I have these 3 flattened yellow dots for the face. Then I'm going to bake them according to instructions. And we're just going to glue the pieces together. So we're going to glue on the legs. Next, I'm adding the 3 yellow dots onto the top part of the alien bug. And I'm gluing on the little antenna as well, and giving it a layer of glaze. And honestly, this is my favorite pet that I made out of all the pets that I did. Next we'll make the alien hamster ball. So I'm taking some tan clay and I pinched it into a coffee bean shape, and I added 3 little points to it, 2 for the ears and 1 for the tail. For the feet, I'm going to take some black clay and roll it slightly and cut off the little ends, and adding the 4 little nubs underneath my little hamster. Then I'm giving it dot eyes, and then little white dots in the eyes. And then giving it 2 lines for the mouth. Then once finished, I'm gonna bake it in the oven according to instructions. So I have this sphere mold and I'm gonna fill it with clear resin. And if you don't have one, you can always just make one out of clay. And I poured some extra resin on the side so I can just dip in the hamster so it doesn't create any bubbles when it cures. And I'm going to place the hamster into the little sphere mold and pushing it all the way down to the bottom. And I'm scraping off the excess. And then I let that cure under the UV lamp, and I just popped out our little hamster ball. And here it is. So next we're going to make the derpy dog. So I'm going to take some peppermint clay and I'm going to pinch it into a rectangular log with kind of like a nubby head on the one side. And I'm going to cut out a little triangle on the nubby side to make the mouth. Then I'm just going to make the mouth a little bit more distinct with my blending tool. So for the legs, I'm just going to roll out a cylinder and cut out 4 equal parts. And I'm adding the forelegs underneath the bottom of the dog's body. Then I'm going to roll a snake with a pointed end for the tail and add that to the butt. So I'm adding a flattened white circle on the face for the eye, and I'm adding a little black dot for the pupil. Then for the ears, I'm going to take a snake of blue clay and cut it in 2 equal pieces, flatten it out, and just pinch it kind of like a angled corner almost. And I'm just going to blend that onto the side of the eyes. Then I'm adding a dark brown half circle that's flattened into the bottom part of the mouth. And for the time, I'm taking some pink clay and I'm flattening it out into an oval shape, cutting out one end and making an indent in the middle, and just placing that into the mouth. And then let that bake according to instructions and give it a nice layer of glaze. And here we have the derpy dog. So we have all 10 little pets with the Among Us crewmates that I made previously, and look how small they are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think this will conclude the Among Us series unless there is an overwhelming response for another video of the series. Let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I hope you guys look forward to the next video I will release. Not sure what it is yet, but I hope you will kind of anticipate it. And like I said before, I do have a book out, so if you want to check that out, please look in the description box below. And thank you for watching.